Hi, and welcome to a very special edition of 5 Minutes of Management. I'm Rick Bell, and with me today is Andy Polansky, Chief Executive Officer of global PR firm Weber Shandwick. Andy, welcome to 5 Minutes of Management. How are you today?
I'm terrific. We appreciate the opportunity to chat a little bit.
Great. So you've just recently released a study engaging but the CEO reputation premium. So tell me a little bit about the study, its origins, and why you had some interest in doing this.
Well, we do a lot of thought leadership. Uh, we try to get a real sense, strong sense of what's high on the minds of our clients, what kinds of problems are they trying to solve, what kind of market dynamics are they trying to understand. So we do a fair amount of research and have for a number of years, which is interesting because over time you can track some interesting trends. From a CEO perspective in particular, we've done a fair amount of research on CEO reputation and corporate reputation more broadly. And this particular survey, what we found interesting is the consistency of how people, we did this in 19 markets around the world, and how strongly people felt across all of those markets. The importance of CEOs today having a more public profile, engaging with their constituencies. Naturally, a lot of that's driven by what we see in the social sphere. Of course, we can all remember years back when, after the financial crisis, a lot of CEOs were ducking and keeping a very low profile. And I think in today's world, when you think about social media and the expectations that stakeholders have, not just external stakeholders, but employees as well, they expect the CEOs to have a public profile and to exude leadership and be quite visible in so many ways. Addressing different stakeholders.
Well, in one portion of the study, it talks about the engaging but humble CEO. Humility and charisma don't necessarily seem to go hand in hand, especially in business. But how can a CEO with that sort of vision thrive in the face of adversities inherent in doing business?
Well, I think the other thing that was quite interesting, particularly if you look at some of the research in CEOs and CEO reputation over time, we all remember the days of the celebrity CEO. And when we look at the research findings and just our own experience, we're a global firm, represent clients in different sectors, have an interesting lens into so many different client organizations. And it's clear that to us, again, from the research, but even more broadly, that it's about credibility today, not celebrity. And I don't think that being a humble CEO necessarily means is mutually exclusive from being charismatic. In fact, the research would suggest most employees, most corporate executives equate humble CEOs with CEOs that have leadership qualities, that have vision for their respective enterprises. So those are not mutually exclusive traits.
hmm Um, Everybody likes to see the bottom line. What is the ROI of companies with that humble yet engaging CEOs, monetary, talent-wise? Can you put a finger on that?
Well, look, I think that the most successful companies, regardless of the geography, regardless of the industry sector, are companies that have great cultures. There's certainly a lot of very smart people. If you look in our type of business, a professional services business, intellectual capital is the name of the game. And firms across these different industries certainly have their fair share of bright people. I think that the thing that really differentiates the leading companies is the culture. And the CEO naturally has the greatest impact on the culture. And to the extent that, particularly in a complex, highly matrixed organization, to the extent that the CEO is able to create a collaborative environment where people feel connected to each other, not only are they going to be motivated and perform well as employees of the enterprise, but I think they're also going to deliver the best thinking to their clients. because you're drawing upon the expertise you have across what were traditional silos in different parts of the business.
Well, and sort of to that point, how does CEO engagement and visibility drive internal culture, creating that collaborative globe, especially in a global environment?
Well, I think it takes on a lot of forms. I think certainly we're seeing more CEOs have more of a social profile, and I think that's important. I think employees expect CEOs to engage in that sort of fashion. They expect their leadership to be quite visible externally. Certainly, it's always been true that CEOs, other corporate leaders, have a important presence at industry conferences, for example. That's become even more important in today's competitive environment, certainly as a way of exuding leadership. Every CEO is going to have his or her own comfort zone about using social platforms, and I think it's important. Everyone has to have their own authentic voice, and I think that in some cases it's going to be about having a strong presence on your own intranet or on the website. And then in other cases, it's going to be much broader than that in terms of engaging on the various social platforms that create opportunities to engage with stakeholders of all kinds.
So being able to engage in that fashion as opposed to just being somebody who walks around the building, that's an important key then.
Yeah, well, although I would say that notwithstanding the impact and the influence of what one can accomplish in the social sphere, there is still no beating a walk around management style. And it's certainly something, even in our own organization, I spend a lot of time traveling to our 81 offices around the world because I think people want to see their leadership show up, engage, understand what their issues are, what their concerns are, what the opportunities are, and appreciate and to celebrate the work that's going on in different markets and different practices around the world.
So the engaging and humble CEO type of leadership works well in good economic times. Talk about when things start to go south economically a little bit. Is that even more important at that point?
I would say it's always important. One could make the case that it is even more important. I think that when times are tough, whether it be from a macroeconomic standpoint or conditions specific to a particular company, I think internal constituencies and external constituencies are hungry for information. We always talk about how absent that, they'll fill the vacuum in other ways with their own speculation. So I think it's important to be transparent, be communicative, particularly in downtimes, so people really understand what's the strategy, what's the vision, how are we going to pull through this together.
All right, final question for you. What findings from the study did you find most interesting?
Well, I just thought it was quite striking, the consistency. Typically, when we do research of this kind, you have certain types of variations by market, just given the dynamics of a particular geography, whether it be an emerging market or a more mature market with a big consumer population. But what we found in this case is the data was actually quite consistent, and more than 80% of the executives that we surveyed, certainly indicated that they wanted to see CEOs have a very active presence. They talked about the same types of qualities. We talked a lot about the humble CEO, but just to articulate the clear vision, to be visible, to be communicative. So just interesting, the consistency. And of course, just the notion of the humble CEO and how much that really is resonating today in today's environment. You think about millennials, which make up a large percentage of certainly our workforce and many companies' workforce. What do they care about? What do they think about? They care about companies that have a social purpose. They care about leaders. They want to work for companies with leaders they can trust and that are out there and accessible and engaging. And so we saw that really through the research all around the world.
Excellent. This has been good stuff, Andy. I really appreciate your time. Once again, Andy Polansky, CEO of Weber Shandwick, talking about the CEO reputation premium. Andy, thanks again for your time, and hope to talk to you soon.
Okay, appreciate the opportunity. Nice to spend time with you.
Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye now.